Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The world's eyes are fixed on the South China Sea, where tensions are at a boiling point. US, Japan, and the Philippines have launched their largest ever joint naval drills. Chinese Coast Guard vessels confront Filipino boats, escalating the standoff. Warships from 3 allied nations cut through contested waters. Fighter jets roar overhead, underscoring the seriousness. This is no routine patrol. It's a direct response to China's assertive moves. The drills show the strength of the alliance. Each press release adds to the tension. Chinese vessels, often disguised as fishing boats, harass Filipino vessels. Water cannons create an atmosphere of intimidation. The Philippines has documented hundreds of such incidents. Diplomatic protests have failed to change the reality. This show of force marks a shift from words to action. The US and its allies will not accept unilateral changes. As powerful navies converge, the risk of crisis grows. The world holds its breath, watching a flashpoint that could ignite. China's gray zone strategy in the South China Sea is a masterclass in incremental coercion. Instead of warships, China uses its Coast Guard and maritime militia, civilian-looking vessels acting on state orders. Artificial islands now bristle with runways and missile systems, unsinkable outposts projecting power far from China's coast. Each small action, blocking boats, shadowing oil rigs, adds up to a relentless push for control. The US and its allies now face a dilemma: how to counter a campaign that stays just below the threshold of war. The South China Sea is a global crossroads. 1/3 of all maritime trade, over $3 trillion, passes through each year. Beneath its waves lie vast reserves of oil and gas, a prize for energy-hungry nations. Its fisheries feed millions and sustain coastal communities from the Philippines to Vietnam. Disruption here would send shockwaves through the world economy, raising prices and threatening supply chains. For the US, freedom of navigation is vital for projecting power and supporting allies. For China, control means security, energy, and regional dominance. The stakes are economic, strategic, and deeply personal for those who call these waters home. The contest is about more than territory. It's about the future of the region. The US, Japan, and the Philippines' joint drills mark a new era in regional security. Once bilateral, alliances are now trilateral, linking the East and South China Seas. The message: an attack on one could draw in all, raising the cost of aggression. These exercises build real-world coordination, pilots, sailors, and commanders learning to operate as one. For China, facing a united bloc is a far greater challenge than dealing with neighbors one-on-one. The Philippines, once isolated, now stands with powerful allies. This partnership shifts the balance, giving smaller nations confidence to defend their rights. The drills are more than symbolism, they're a practical deterrent. Manila's pivot back to the US and closer ties with Japan reflect a new defense posture. The world sees a region uniting to uphold international law. The stakes: a stable, open Indo-Pacific. Scarborough Shoal, Panatag to Filipinos, Huangyandao to China, is a microcosm of the South China Sea dispute. Just 120 nautical miles from the Philippines, it's a traditional fishing ground now blocked by Chinese ships. In 2012, China seized control after a standoff, shutting out Filipino fishermen without firing a shot. The shoal's strategic location could complete a triangle of Chinese military bases, threatening Manila itself. Each new confrontation, water cannons, blockades, raises fears of escalation. If China builds here, it could cross a red line for both the Philippines and the US. Scarborough is a powder keg, its fate watched by the world. For Filipino fishermen, the South China Sea dispute is a daily struggle for survival. Generations have relied on these waters, but now face harassment from Chinese Coast Guard ships. Water cannons and blockades force them into poorer fishing grounds, slashing incomes and deepening poverty. The impact ripples through coastal towns. Less fish means less work, less money, and families torn apart as young people leave. Many feel abandoned, unprotected in their own waters. Their stories reveal the human cost of geopolitical rivalry. Out on the sea, they face a superior force alone. Diplomatic protests offer little comfort when livelihoods are at stake. For these communities, the South China Sea is not just a map, it's home, heritage, and hope for the future. The conflict is personal, its consequences immediate. Their resilience is a testament to what's truly at stake. The world's power games play out in the lives of ordinary people. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, rejecting China's sweeping claims in the South China Sea. The ruling, based on UNCLOS, declared China's 9-line invalid and found China had violated Philippine rights. China dismissed the verdict, calling it waste paper, and continued its activities undeterred. The tribunal's decision is legally binding, but lacks enforcement. For years, Manila downplayed the ruling to appease Beijing, but the current government now asserts it as the foundation of its policy. The U.S. and allies cite the ruling to justify freedom of navigation operations and support for the Philippines. The case set a precedent for the rule of law at sea, but the reality on the water remains unchanged. The legal victory is clear. The practical challenge persists. The world watches to see if law or power will decide the region's fate. The struggle for the South China Sea is far from over. Rising tensions are reshaping Indo-Pacific security. The U.S. and partners are weaving a web of alliances, integrated deterrence, combining military, diplomatic, and technological strength. The Quad, U.S., Japan, Australia, India, conducts joint drills and counters China's influence. AUKUS brings Australia, the UK, and US together, with nuclear submarines boosting regional power. These new groupings, plus stronger traditional alliances, send a clear message to Beijing. Aggression will meet a united response, but more military assets in contested waters raise the risk of accidents and escalation. A single misstep could trigger a crisis. Policymakers must balance deterrence with careful crisis management. The region's future depends on avoiding miscalculation, the stakes peace or peril in the world's most dynamic region. From Beijing's view, the South China Sea is about history, security, and destiny. China claims historical rights, citing old maps and centuries of activity. It sees U.S. involvement as foreign interference in its backyard. Control of these waters is seen as vital for national security, protecting its coast and pushing U.S. forces farther away. Artificial islands extend China's reach, creating a buffer and securing trade routes. The region's oil, gas, and fisheries are crucial for China's growth and energy needs. Beijing sees itself following the path of other great powers, asserting its sphere of influence. It accuses the U.S. of hypocrisy, noting Washington never ratified UNCLOS. For China, pushing back is about reclaiming its place in the world order. The South China Sea is a test of its resolve and ambition. The South China Sea's future hangs in the balance, with global stakes. A clash between the U.S. and China would be catastrophic, shattering decades of peace and prosperity. Even without war, rising tensions threaten $3 trillion in annual trade, risking shortages and economic turmoil worldwide. Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are especially vulnerable to disruptions. To prevent disaster, open communication, especially between U.S. and Chinese militaries, is essential. Hotlines and regular dialogue can diffuse crises before they spiral. Both sides share an interest in avoiding conflict. The only sustainable path is a commitment to international law and a rules-based order. The 2016 tribunal ruling offers a legal foundation for resolving disputes. Upholding these rules isn't about picking sides. It's about preserving a system that benefits all. The world's oceans must remain open, governed by law, not force. The peace and prosperity of the region and the world depend on it. The next chapter is being written now.